You're 6 years old, chasing your wooden doll through the wet grass of your family's manor. Garden in 15th century England, when a thunder of hooves split the air. Men in velvet doublets, reeking of horse sweat and spiced wine, crowd the great hall. One of the men kneels before your father, unfurls a parchment sealed with a king's wax. Your father scans it once, twice, then stares at you as if you've turned into a sack of gold, which, in a way, you have. The letter is your marriage contract. Congratulations, you've just been traded as a child bride to secure a political alliance. Yesterday, your life was dolls and daydreams. Nurses spinning tales of knights and dragons, while you nibbled on honeyed bread that stuck sweetly to your fingers. This morning, you wake up and find your wooden dolls have been packed away. Ladies don't play with toys, your governess sniffs, replacing them with a needle and thread. You're 6, the world a blur of castle drafts and flickering hearth fires, when the lessons begin. Not ABCs or fairy tales, but curtsies so deep your knees kiss the stone floor, and French phrases that twist your tongue like thorns. For your future husband, your mother whispers, her voice laced with something bitter, like the herbal tonic she forces down your throat to strengthen your womb. Strengthen. You're still losing baby teeth, for God's sake. By 7, the inspections start. The way he says old enough makes your skin crawl in ways you don't yet understand. Your father beams like he's won a lottery, while you huddle under the blankets, pretending it's all a nightmare. Then, the day comes. You're dressed in a scratchy brocade gown that weighs more than you do, standing in a drafty chapel that smells of incense and old stone. The groom, a man old enough to be your father. His breath sour with ale, his eyes scanning you like a merchant appraising cloth. He's 32. You're 7. And the betrothal, dressed up like a wedding, feels suffocating. Your dress is heavy, the crown keeps sliding over your eyes, and you can barely pronounce your own vows. If you like, you could just leave it all behind and run away to find some fresh air. Maybe a few toys. But you can't. Vows are mumbled. Yours scripted. His slurred. Rings exchanged. Yours a heavy gold band that slides around your finger like a shackle. You're kissed by a man who smells like ale and old leather. Crowd cheers. The feast follows. A roar of laughter and clinking goblets. But your childhood officially dies in that moment. Suffocated under yards of crimson silk. You spend your betrothal night in a strange bed, curled around the little cloth doll you smuggled beneath your shawl, while the revelry below thunders on. Your new home is a fortress 3 days' ride from everything you've ever known. The servants whisper in a dialect you don't recognize. Your husband's first wife died in childbirth at 15. A cheery welcome to the family story the maids share while unpacking your miniature trunks. Hope you slept tight, princess. 2 years married and still sleeping alone. It should feel like a blessing, but somehow feels worse. You're in matrimonial limbo. Too young to be a real wife. Too married to be a child. The court physicians examine you monthly, not yet ready. They announce a room full of men discussing your body like butchers circling a cut of beef, waiting for it to sizzle on the bonfire before declaring it fit for the feast. At 10 years old, you're shipped off to your husband's court like a crate of fine wine. Valuable, but not to be uncorked yet. The carriage ride jolts over rutted roads. Each bump a reminder of your new title, child bride, whispered behind fans like a curse. You arrive at a sprawling castle. Towers piercing the sky like accusatory fingers. Air thick with wood smoke and intrigue. Life here is a twisted fairy tale. Mornings, embroidery. Lessons, where your pricked fingers bleed onto silk-staining patterns meant to symbolize fertility. Afternoons, dancing instruction. Your tiny feet blistering in leather shoes, learning to glide like a swan while your heart hammers like a trapped bird. The ladies in waiting coo over you. Such a little queen. But their smiles are knives. Their gossip, venom. Will she even bleed before he beds her? One hisses. You pretend not to hear, but the fear coils. In your gut like a serpent. You're 12, and inspections intensify. Monthly, a midwife strips you bare in a chilled chamber. Her hands rough as bark, checking for womanly signs. The first blood comes at 12. A crimson stain on your linens that seals your fate. Word spreads like wildfire. Your husband summons you to his solar. His face flushed with wine and anticipation. Soon, he growls. His hand lingering on your shoulder, heavy as iron. He nods, smile frozen, while inside you scream. The court ridicules you openly now. She's ready. Ready for what feels like a death sentence with extra steps. Your husband orders new bed sheets. The doll wife, they call you. Snickering at your flat chest and childish braids. Rivals, older mistresses with curves and cunning, circle like wolves. Spreading rumors that you're barren already, or cursed by the fairies. One slips a fertility charm in your food. It tastes like dirt and despair. Nights are worst. Alone in your bed, you hug your knees. Imagining escape through arrow-slit windows. But the guards' footsteps echo like jailers. Sometimes you develop elaborate fantasies about escaping. Disguising yourself as a boy. Joining a convent. Dying dramatically of consumption like the heroines in romance stories. But in reality, you can't do anything. Except wait. And the wait isn't mercy. It's torture. Stretching your childhood's last threads until they snap. You're 13 now. And your wedding night arrives like an execution date. The older women prepare you with the enthusiasm of morticians. Braiding your hair and dressing you in a nightgown thin as cobwebs. Their advice ranges from unhelpful, like, think of England, to terrifying. Bite down on this leather strap if it gets too bad. The bedding ceremony. A crowd of nobles marches you to bed. Laughing. Tugging at your sleeves. Yanking back the covers. Demanding proof come morning. The curtains close, but privacy is a joke. Their cheers seep through like poison. The experience lives down to every horrifying expectation. It hurts. It hurts like being torn apart. From the inside. His weight crushing. His grunts animal. You clench your fists. Bite your lip bloody to stifle screams. Only to taste iron and tears. A few moments later you lie. Motionless. Staring at ceiling beams and wondering if this is what marriage means. Being broken apart and expected to smile about it. Your husband sleeps soundly beside you while you quietly bleed into expensive linens. Dawn brings bloodied sheets paraded like a trophy. Proof of your womanhood. 6 months. Later you're pregnant. A nightmare in miniature. The court applauds you while you vomited in chamber pot. You're 14 and terrified. Your belly swells, but so does the nausea. The bone-deep exhaustion. Morning sickness keeps you bedridden for weeks while physicians poke and prod, monitoring their precious air container. Labor begins 3 days before your 15th birthday and lasts 36 hours. Pure agony on a sweat-soaked bed. No epidurals in medieval times. Just herbs that barely dull the edge. And midwives who tell you to breathe through it while you're being split in half. You scream until your throat bleeds. Then scream some more. You survive. Barely. The baby doesn't. Your son, because of course it was a son, lives for 4 hours before slipping away like morning mist. Your grief is immediately overshadowed by your husband's rage about their lost heir. And his demands that you try again before your stitches have even healed. You bleed for days. Feverish. Hovering at death's door. The physicians bleed you more. Leeches sucking at your arms like greedy courtiers. You survive. Barely. But your body remembers. Hips widen. Scars hidden under gowns. A constant ache like a war wound. At 15, you're a widow. Your husband dies of a fever, leaving You with crushing debts, a title you can't inherit, and trauma layered thick as winter frost. For the first time in a decade, you're alone with your thoughts. They're not pleasant company. Freedom lasts exactly 3 months before your brother-in-law arrives with another marriage contract. Apparently, your womb is still considered valuable real estate, despite its previous tenant not surviving long. You're to be married off again, this time to a duke twice your age, who already has 6 children from 2 previous wives. Both previous wives died young. Coincidence? Probably not. Your new husband's court is a nest of vipers, where his children from other marriages view you as competition for their inheritance. His oldest daughter is your age, and makes it clear she'd happily poison your wine if given the chance. The husband is kinder but no less demanding. He wants an heir. Preferably multiple heirs. And treats your body like a business investment that needs to show returns. You become pregnant again. Miscarry at 6 months. Get pregnant again. The cycle becomes as predictable as seasons, and twice as brutal. At 18, you finally produce a surviving son. The court celebrates. You collapse from exhaustion and blood loss. The recovery takes months, during which whispers circulate about finding your husband a second wife to help with the breeding duties. You're 18 years old and already considered worn out. Your body bears the evidence of repeated trauma. Complications from difficult births. Malnutrition from constant pregnancy. And a spine curved from carrying babies before your own bones finished growing. You look in mirrors and see a stranger wearing your face. Aged beyond her years by experiences no child should have survived. At 22, you've buried 2 husbands. Birthed 4 children. 2 of whom survived. And somehow navigated the murderous politics of medieval nobility without being poisoned, executed, or driven completely mad. Your health is permanently damaged from too many pregnancies too young. Your hips ache constantly. Your back is twisted from carrying babies before your body was ready. And you've developed a chronic cough that physicians can't cure. Beauty was supposed to be your currency. But survival became your skill instead. But here's the thing. When the next marriage proposal arrives, another aging lord seeking a proven breeder, you do something radical. You say no. Your surviving children give you political leverage. Your lands provide income. And your reputation for survival makes enemies think twice. For the first time in your life, you choose your own path. The 7-year-old who lost her wooden dolls would be proud. You finally learn to play with fire instead of being consumed by it.